This project's come about after my year on placement. I worked in quite a small practice. I had quite an intimate connection with the project I was working on. So sort of wanted to follow that through to my final year project, where I've created a project that is an environmental research centre for an area I've lived for the last 23 years on the Norfolk coast. Through this project I really wanted to preserve the landscape. After COVID and things like that, there's been a lot of people coming to the area with their staycations and things like that, and I've seen sort of firsthand the damage that has on the environment, working in sort of hospitality and things like that, seeing a lot more people and a lot more rubbish around. So yeah, the Hyde is the building I've designed. The Centre for Environmental Safeguarding is sort of its more technical name. The building that looks to integrate this expertise of the University of East Anglia, a leading life sciences university, with local experts in the conservation of the area. There's a marine conservation zone, the largest chalk reef just off the coast of where the project is based, is in an area of outstanding natural beauty. The site itself is in a nature reserve, so yeah, using locals who, I know personally have got expertise in the area and integrating that with the UEA is sort of the main basis behind the project. I think the shape of the building I chose was quite challenging. Trying to model that in the 3D software we did was something that was quite hard to get over, but with the help of the tutors and stuff like that, I managed to sort it out. I have really enjoyed the year, really. I never sort of expected to do as well as I've done, so I've sort of got quite a bit of pride in the project I've produced, and I think that's sort of shown throughout the year, really. It's been really enjoyable.